Did not pick a song yet, no.
Are you not a Taylor Swift fan?
I am a fan of many. That's the problem. There are so many.
What do you think about the engagement?
Excuse me for a second.
And Travis getting engaged.
I wish them all the happiness in the world. It's actually nice to know this isn't working. It's actually nice to see it turn out well, you know?
Yeah.
Because tremendous pressure they must have been under when you think about it. Everywhere you go, everything's under a camera. You're under the lights.
You don't know what that's like.
Not like that. It's a whole different level.
Are your daughters Taylor Swift fans or no?
Yes.
Mariah suggested that.
Yes, Mariah is. They all are. I think Mariah is the greatest fan.
Sorry, having some technical difficulties. Please continue with Taylor Swift discussion.
Where were you this weekend?
How did they get engaged? I didn't hear the details.
Yeah, where was that beautiful garden?
It looked like a set. She recorded a music video on. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. We don't know what day. We don't know what. I feel like my friend got engaged. I was upset that I had to work yesterday. For June 4th.
Your friend or for Taylor?
My friend Taylor. My good friend Taylor.
But they recorded the engagement
No, so she put out Instagram photos.
of the engagement?
Did you see them? You
No.
didn't see the rock?
No.
I'll show you. Here, I'm
It was
gonna.
tiny, I bet, a tiny little one.
They're modest
It was really small. I don't know if it was lab grown. I don't know if it was real.
Apparently it's real, according to my Instagram feed.
But can you tell if it's lab grown anymore?
If they're really, really big, sometimes it's suspect that it's lab grown.
Yeah?
So people are like, they want like the ethical ring.
Here you go, sir.
They don't want the blood.
Here's the engagement post.
Thank you. Oh, down on the knee. A spontaneous moment, another spontaneous moment in life.
Happen to have the photographer there. Or it looks like.
Okay. Question is, who is Zoran Mamdani? What does he stand for? What would he do as mayor? They sound like very basic questions, but I've been obviously all across the city talking to New Yorkers. It is amazing how little they actually know. What they do know, to the extent they know anything, what they know are what he's tweeted, freeze the rent. Nobody knows that it's only rent-stabilized apartments, which are only 30% of the housing stock. They think it means all rent. Maybe they've heard about grocery stores in each borough, but they don't know anything about it. Maybe they heard about free buses, but they had no idea that the tax plan that he proposed to fund it all is impossible and was shot down as the governor. So what would he do? Zoran is the DSA candidate, Democratic Socialists of America.
Zoran first kind of approached DSA leadership about running. His pitch was, he said, I'm going to get socialists to vote for me and I'm going to get Muslims to vote for me. With Zoran, we're in basically the best possible position to see state power that we can be in because, you know, we're like this, right? DSA has regular meetings with him, let alone his team. His policy director is my friend. I've been working with his campaign manager for well over a year. You know, I have friends who are in his staff.
Okay, so Zoran is owned by the DSA, which he says himself. Here he is at the DSA convention. Here's a video of him explaining to a New Yorker.
Making it free and also not being seen as a socialist.
I'm not really worried about that part.
So
what the purpose is about this entire project. It's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of ceasing the means of production.
Okay, so he is a socialist, proud socialist. We should lean into being a socialist. Controlling the means of production, which is the essential core socialist theory. So what is the socialist agenda? What does it mean, you're a socialist? Bernie Sanders is a socialist, AOC is a socialist. What does it mean? What is the agenda for a socialist? If a socialist becomes mayor, what would he or she do? And this is Zoran's Project 2025. The 10, I think, most relevant initiatives that Zoran would advance. Number 10, social ownership of utilities and key sectors of the economy. Number 9, boycott, divestment and sanction of Israel, but not Uganda. These are all directly from their charter, okay? Number 8, decriminalize sex work and the drug trade. Number 7, a new political order through a second constitutional convention and abolish the U.S. Senate. Again, directly from their charter. Number 6, decriminalize squatting and other occupation of unused housing. Number 5, repeal the truancy law. Number 4, end investment in police training and disarm law enforcement officers, okay? Disarm law enforcement officers. Police people with no weapons. And all misdemeanors. So there would be no misdemeanors, just felonies. Free all people from involuntary confinement, which means jail, prisons, and involuntary confinement are also mental health institutions where you are held involuntarily. And prisons and jails. New York City's right now in the middle of a whole jail construction program, right? And again, these are directly from their charter. Defund the police, cut budgets annually towards zero. Okay? Their words, not interpretation, not rhetoric, their words, their charter. Obviously, these are dramatic proposals that are reckless and they are dangerous. When I say he is dangerous, if you're going to disarm the police, you are dangerous. If you're going to end all misdemeanors, you are dangerous. If you're going to close prisons and jails, you are dangerous by definition, and reckless. These are the literal positions of the charter. And he has not spoken to them except to the DSA in accepting and signing their charter. But do you support these proposals, yes or no? Because New Yorkers have a right to know. These are not little changes. Ending misdemeanors is a big deal. Closing prisons is a big deal. People have a right to know before they vote. And this can't now be a political system where you tweet and all they know is what you tweet. And nobody asks anything else. Well, I'm a Democratic Socialist of America candidate, and here's my charter. Here's the written charter. And nobody bothers to say, yeah, but in the charter, this is what it says. Would you do this? Would you abolish all misdemeanors? Would you close all prisons? Would you stop the construction of all our jails? Would you release people? Would you really reduce the police budget down to zero? Would you really take the guns from police officers? That's what you say you're going to do. Are you going to do that? You know, Trump Project 2025 was an extreme right agenda that was frightening. It was frightening. And I said so at the time. Zoran Project 2025 is an extreme left agenda that is also extraordinarily frightening and dangerous. You know what I stand for? You know my positions? I've laid them out in more pages than anyone has read. Now, on top of all of this, you have President Donald Trump, who is, fair to say, an activist president, and he's saying, I'm not going to let this communist lunatic destroy New York. Rest assured, I hold all the levers and have all the cards. Put all the metaphors together. I'll save New York City and make it hot and great again, just like I did with the good old USA. What he's saying here is he will come in and take over, like he's done with DC. That is what he is saying. Why? Because, first of all, he wants to control New York. How do we know that? Because he made a deal with Eric Adams by which he basically has control of New York, right? Why would you go to such an elaborate extent to drop charges against the mayor of the city of New York with all these caveats? If you agree to cooperate with my administration, because he wants control of New York City. Why? He's from New York City. Why else? It's New York City. And he wants to control New York City. If Zoran Mamdani became mayor, how long would it be before he took control of New York City? A day? 2 days? A week? And then you'd effectively have Mayor Donald Trump. You see what he's doing in D.C. Imagine what he would do in New York if we elected a person he has told you is a communist lunatic, and he won't allow it to happen. That's what this election is about, my friends. It is about the soul of New York City and basic fundamental philosophical changes. This is not an election between people. It's an election between political philosophies. And it's an election with dire consequences. If Mayor Donald Trump takes control of New York City, that is going to be, in my opinion, the most dire consequence we have faced. That's what this election is about, and that's why people have to understand what is really going on, because the stakes have never been higher. Questions?
Morgan? I have 2 questions. Thank you. First question I wanted to ask you about just with the latest shooting that we're seeing. You know, the Bronx, there was a lot of shootings just today and over the weekend. And we saw the mass shooting at the Catholic high school. You know, besides calling for federal action, you know, what would you do as mayor to specifically address this gun violence? And then I have a follow-up question. Thank you.
Look, first, thankfully in New York, we have the strongest gun law in the United States of America. And I passed it. It's one of my proudest achievements, frankly. We passed it with a Republican Senate. And it is the strictest gun law. I don't know what gun was used in the latest Catholic school shooting, but if I had to guess, I would guess it was an assault weapon. And as you know, they've been outlawed in New York. And I think that has made a tremendous difference. You can't really do anything more than we have done in this state. The guns that are coming in illegally, in trunks, in cars, in trucks. People are driving them in. Where we've had shootings in this state with assault weapons, we had one in Buffalo, New York. They came in from out of state. You try the best you can. Many of the guns coming in illegally are found by traffic stops. That's why the Mamdani idea of not using police officers for traffic stops, I think is a mistake, because that's one of the main ways we find illegal guns. But you do need federal action to do any more gun control than we have done. And that's for New York City, that's for the rest of the state. Crime in general, you know, you pick statistics, right? I lost 5 pounds since last week. However, I'm 10 pounds heavier than last month. Okay, but I choose to say I lost 5 pounds from last week. Yeah, but you're 10 pounds heavier than last month. Yes, that's true. Crime is down. No, it's not. Crime is up. Murders and shootings are down, depending on which period of time, but murders and shootings are down, but crime overall is up. And New Yorkers know it. That's why all these headlines, crime is down. And go out there and talk to people and they say, where? Where is crime down? Not in my neighborhood, not in the Bronx, not in Brooklyn, not in Queens, you know. Where? So I believe we need to prioritize public safety. I believe that's the foundation. You want to do economic development, you want to do housing, you want to get people coming to the city, you want tourism, you need public safety. I would hire 5,000 additional police officers and put 1,500 in the subways because people have to feel safe. And crime is up. And hiring police works. David Dinkins, God rest his soul, Mayor David Dinkins took over New York City. There was a terrible crime problem. What did he do? Pass safe cities, safe streets, safe cities. They hired more cops, and it made a difference.
If you were having the same pressure that Governor Kathy Hochul is having right now to overturn the bail laws, would you do so? And also, just real quickly, I was wanted to get your take on the Albany Supreme Court Justice Denise Hartman officially dismissed the lawsuit by Brittany Comizzo. And the judge also wrote that this is your effort to resurrect your public image, and gave a pretty harsh words about spending $20 million in taxpayer cash. Wondering if you are elected mayor, would you continue to pursue legal action against women who have accused you of being elected?
Yeah, first, I believe the president's edict is not legal. I don't think he can do that by executive order. Also, I don't think it applies to the state of New York because we don't have cashless bail. We don't have cashless bail. Second, you're selective in your reading of what the judge said. The judge also said those texts can be available in a separate litigation that is ongoing. The cases are ongoing. The cases are ongoing.
So yes.
So the case that is ongoing, yes, I don't control the case, right? The case is against the state. So I don't control the state. I don't start it, I don't stop it.
Bernadette, one question, please, per person.
So I know you explained why you signed the 2019 bail laws. He was Browder, he stole a backpack, he was in jail. But given what we've seen over the last 6 years, you just mentioned, you think crime is up, it's not actually down. Would you have signed that same law in 2019 today?
The law was passed, first of all, by 12 other states, including Republican states, right? What the law says is for non-dangerous crimes, you can't hold the person just because they can't afford to post bond. Use a different methodology to make sure they return. That's what the law says. It also says, we then changed it 3 months later, 3 months after it went into effect, to say, if the person committed harm to a person or harm to property, then it's considered a dangerous person and you can hold the person. Okay? That's what the law said. They were, by definition, non-dangerous crimes.
Sure. So, but today, would you still sign that same bill in 2019? Because since then, you had to amend it, like you just said, you had to add in hate crimes. There's a whole back and forth with you and Todd Kaminsky. Kathy Hochul's had to edit it twice, plus the edits to retail theft, plus now discovery. Do you regret signing that?
No, those laws, I would sign it with the amendments. If you remember, when I proposed it, I wanted judicial discretion in the bill, right? That was in my initial proposal. The legislature refused, and that was at a point in time where they had a veto-proof majority, right?
Were you powerless at the time?
No, but when the legislature refuses, and it's an issue of import to them, you can veto it and they can override. And then bill will say whatever they want it to say, right? So in those situations, you negotiate the best bill that you can negotiate. And that was the best bill I could negotiate.
And just quickly, Donald Trump yesterday, when he was explaining in his cabinet meeting, he said something to the effect of, I think it was in New York that the cashless bail disaster began. You're criticizing Mamdani for, if he wins, he could deliver a mayor Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is criticizing New York for the bail law that you began because you signed. So what do you make of that?
Well, the president's wrong. We don't have cashless bail
We do for some crimes.
for non-dangerous crimes. For a dangerous crime, we have cash bail. Some states have cashless bail, period. We are not one of them.
We have one more question. NJ?
Yes, Governor.
NJ,
Several of New York's most prominent Democrats have not endorsed Zohran Mamdani. I mean, haven't endorsed you yet either, but I'm wondering why you suppose it is that Hakeem Jeffries isn't on Mamdani bandwagon. Hochul, Schumer, Gillibrand. Why not? He's the Democratic nominee.
maybe because he's a socialist. He is a socialist on the Democratic line. I'm a Democrat on an independent line.
Also, I'm going to follow up on some of what you said earlier. And, you as a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, an established record in Democratic cause, but even you yourself have not supported every item in the Democratic platforms over the years, correct? Is that fair to say?
Well, on what level?
Well, maybe on the national level. Certain things the Democrats have put out there over the years, you probably haven't supported, maybe most of it.
I can't think of one, but there may have been one.
So I guess what I'm wondering is if you're tagging
when he says, I am a DSA candidate, I am a socialist, I want to advance the socialist agenda. They hand you a charter that says all these things. Here's my gospel as a DSA candidate. When you hear the head of the DSA say, I did the policies with them, his chief of staff is my best friend, his other person is my best friend, we worked on this together. Here's our charter, written down, signed off by Zoran. Signed off by Zoran. Piece of paper, in writing, you signed it. Yes, I assume you meant what you said on that piece of paper. And if he didn't mean it, why did you sign it? Why did you say you believed in it? And have you ever heard him say there's an item from the DSA that he doesn't support? When I say to you, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat. I support the Democratic agenda. I can't think of an item I don't support. Those are just 10 of the items in the charter. NJ, does he support them or not? By the way, he was asked, do you support legalizing prostitution? And he basically said, yeah.
And stop and frisk, by the way, he wants to abolish.
But that's easy. How about taking guns from cops? How about abolishing misdemeanors? How about closing prisons? How about reducing the police budget down to zero? How about that? How about controlling the means of production? I mean, just imagine what this city would be like. Police officers with no guns. First of all, who's going to be a police officer?
Do you seriously believe that he believes that?
Well, then why did he say he did? Now, you want to say, well, he can say, hold on a second, there's a caveat. There are items in the DSA charter that I signed that I don't agree with. Okay, please tell me, what are those items? Tell me which ones. Here's the charter. Here it is. Just X out the ones you don't agree with. Otherwise, you signed it, you're part of the club, you're at the convention, you're their candidate, you tout that you're their candidate. Now all of a sudden you don't believe everything that they believe? Now some of the things you signed you don't follow? Well, then you better tell me which ones. You know, it's on him, or it's on you guys to say, let me ask you a question. I assumed that when you agreed to the DSA candidacy and the convention and the charter, that you agreed with all those items. Was I wrong? What don't you agree with? It's on him. Have you heard him say, has anyone heard him say, hold on a second, I disagree with the DSA on the following things? No. And silence, by the way, is acceptance.
What do you make, though, of New Yorkers choosing him in the Democratic primary by double digits over you?
You know what? I think if they knew that, they would have never done it. I think they knew freeze the rent, and they did not know that it was only for rent-stabilized apartments, and rent-stabilized apartments are only 30% of the total housing units. Nobody told them that. That wasn't, no, they didn't read that anywhere. Open a grocery store in every one per borough. They didn't know that it was for rich and poor people. They didn't know that it was done in Kansas City and it fell on its face. Free buses, they didn't know that the whole funding plan was based on passing a corporate tax that was on every corporation in the state, but the monies would only go to New York City. You covered Albany. What is the chance of passing that bill where the state legislature is going to say, yes, tax the corporations in Buffalo, and all the money goes to New York City? The chances are zero. They didn't know that the governor said, I'm not doing it. They didn't know that, and they didn't know any of this. If they knew that not just defund the police, disarm the police, close jails. We're building all these jails. If Rikers closure, billions of dollars on that debacle of jail construction, we're going to close jails? You close Rikers?
What if they did know that, and New Yorkers just are embracing more of a socialist agenda? Where does that leave you?
I don't believe they knew that,
Why?
because I don't believe you knew it.
How? Why do you believe that?
Did you know it?
That he is a democratic socialist?
Did you know what the Democratic Socialist Charter said?
Yeah, because I cover the legislation, I cover Mamdani.
So
But I don't have it on these slides like you had today.
you knew that you,
Conversation that could have been had with voters pre-primary, so did you?
yes, I tried. I tried.
Did you say to them, hey, this is what is on this agenda?
I-
Mamdani doesn't like capitalism, he wants to disarm police. And what did you
Yes,
say?
yes.
So is this anecdotal? Because again, they still chose him regardless, and he's still up in the polls.
No, I don't believe they know what he actually is proposing.
All right, thanks, everybody.
That poll's right. That poll is right.
Governor, on the decision of the Albany Supreme Court justice this week on the Britney Commission case, will you continue to pursue another legal action?
No, what the judge said was, that issue is, there were texts that were turned over during the case. And in the settlement, those texts are kept secret. I wanted the texts released. The lawsuit was funded by the taxpayer. These texts were produced. Release the texts. They didn't want to release the texts. We went to the judge and said, you should release the texts. The judge said, there's a separate litigation, and that you can get the text in the separate litigation.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
That's a wrap.
When do you speak to us again?
I'll come back later this afternoon if you're going to be here.
Are you going to the Hamptons this weekend?
I am not going to the Hamptons this weekend.
What are you doing?
I don't yet have firm plans. There's a parade, a couple of parades that I'm looking
Are
at.
you staying in the city?
Yes.
Do you have any fundraisers?
With the question.
All right.
That's what
Thank
you're
you.
doing with me.
I don't
That's like
have
question
any
85.